Hey, what's up, everybody? And I want to welcome you. I want to welcome you all to Ep.3 of the Improv Life, Fernando's Improv Blog podcast. Now, I know a lot of comedians from Orange County and LA. I just know a lot, and I'm very lucky. The best part of being a comedian is you just meet a bunch of amazing people from all over the country, all over the world, and I want to bring up a very special guy who I kind of know, but I have a feeling I'm going to get to know pretty well today. Please give it up for Winston Carter. How's it going, Winston?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you.
Of course, man. All right, I'll be honest. I know you and I are friends, but I don't know if we've ever had a deep conversation. You're someone I've seen around the community a lot. You're someone it's like if we live in the same neighborhood kind of, and we say hi to each other.
Yeah, we see each other at the bodega, but I'm always leaving with my vegetables, and you're always arriving with yours. I assume you're taking vegetables to the bodega. I don't know, man.
Oh my God, you know what though? It's perfect. I'm sorry. That is a perfect analogy because I feel like it's like, oh, my show's ending. Oh, my show's about to begin.
Yeah. See you in the back of the pack and be like, hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
No, but I've seen you a bunch. I've seen you at Catsby. I know you're part of the Catsby community for a while.
Yeah.
I know you have your amazing improv show, which I have to see. Is it called the Winston Carter Murder Mystery Follies?
It's called the Winston Carter Murder Follies. I did not name it. I do not like the name.
Who named it?
Dominique Johnson named it. And everyone else on the team agreed to it. Who is it's Marcelina Chavira, Rachel Middleton, and Luce Tomlin Brenner. They were all like, "That sounds great." I was like, "Oh no, I hate." I'm a very shy person for someone who performs.
I know half of those people, and they're all amazing.
Yeah, they're all great. Oh, it's a fantastic show. I wish we got to do it more than once. Do we do it once a month? I mean, we did it once a month before COVID. So, but it is really fun, and it's awesome. I'm very lucky to have a show at the Pack. Yeah.
Well, all right. So tell me about that show. How did it come about? Because I love the poster for it. If you show us the poster, it's Winston's head. And his eyes have been X'd out, or they've been signed to the lamp style with the red duct tape or something. It's obviously an allusion to some murder movie.
Yeah, it is. That show came about me and Dom. I'm gonna say Dom. I mean Dominique Johnson, who you know, right? You know Dom. I feel like everyone knows Dom.
Yeah.
Me and Dom have been performing together for 4 years now. We were put on a mess hall team at UCB together years ago.
No way, I had no idea. Really?
Yeah. And then so we've stayed friends, and at one point we were writing a sketch show together that we never finished. And we've made a short film, and we've just do lots of improv. And he was like, I was looking for a way onto the Pack stage. I really like the Pack. I really enjoy what's going on there, and I'm starting to get into their sketch program now. But I was looking how do I get on this stage? I know everyone here. Everyone knows I'm funny. How can I skip the line and get right on stage?
You skipped the line by having your own show.
Yeah. So I just went straight. So then he basically pitched hey, we want to do a show, and we were trying to think of what an interesting take would be. So our whole take is that we ask the crowd for what their favorite murder or serial killer story or spooky thing is, and then we interview them about that for maybe 5 minutes. And we try to lean on the edge of, even if we know what the actual true things that happened are, we try to go with whatever the audience's the audience member's idea is, so it can veer off into crazy town real fast. And then we do a 30-minute set about it.
Well, that's pretty cool. I had no idea. I know you and Dom were buds just from Facebook posts, the digital neighborhood of Facebook.
Yeah.
But I had no idea you guys had such history. So you guys were on a mess hall team together. How was that?
It was great, man. It was all the validation I ever needed. No, it was really fun. We got put on.
What year was this?
2016. Is that right?
Christ.
Yeah, I think we were put on.
It's improv years, dog years, where if you're friends with someone for a year, that's 2 years.
Yeah.
Someone for 2 years, that's 5 years.
Yeah.
Because friendships are so fickle. So if someone's friend for longer than a year in comedy, I think that's pretty cool.
It's pretty. Yeah, I agree. So we've been hanging out. Yeah, it was fun. I think we put on at the end of 2015. And then we did a 6-month run, and the team was amazing, and so many like great people, and we were just super lucky.
What does that consist of? Like, I'm not a big UCB person. I should know more, but what is that really? So what's the commitment like? What is like the reason to do that, I guess?
So at the time, I mean, I was trying to get on the Herald team, obviously, like the other 1,000 people. The time commitment is just like, it's a rehearsal a week. I think there were some teams that did 2, but you are provided a coach by UCB. So we had we had Aaron Whitehead as our coach for the first half, and that was unbelievable. So that was like really, really special. And then it also just pairs you up with like, I had never been on a team where I'm like paired up with people I don't know in some capacity, right? Mm-hmm. So like we were on a team with like Emily Schmidt. I did not know her at all before that. She's a genius. I was very lucky to be on a team with her. Or like Lindsay Frey. There's so many good people on that team who were just people I would have never had a chance to interact with. Like I'm just gonna list everyone.
Please.
This oh God, no, what is her?
They all better listen too, because you're getting a lot of praise.
She's got Liz Corona, Alex Ungerman. That team was just very good, and I was very lucky to be on it. So that's like the most of the appeal. And then it was also like we were the first season or the first round of Mess Hall that got to perform at UCB. So we had 2 UCB shows like on the main stage.
No way. That's pretty cool. The one on Franklin or on Sunset?
On Franklin.
Whoa. So that's a nice thing.
It was awesome. It was just like mainly like, it was really nice to have it was my first house team anywhere really. So it was just nice to be like, oh, I have a show at this time on these days. I can invite people to come see that show. Yeah, and it was fun. And honestly, at the time, especially a lot of validation for being like, oh, cool, I made it to this step in UCB. And now you'll hear from anyone on any team at UCB. It's the second you get that validation, you're like, oh, this doesn't matter at all. It's very, but I'm not going to lie, it felt great and was good.
Well, tell me more about that. My journey has been very independent and I don't want to say punk rock, DIY, but just I've done a lot of stuff on my own, like produced my own shows or in smaller theaters or smaller communities outside of LA, like San Francisco, Berkeley, and Orange County. So it's a different experience. So by the time I realized how important UCB was, I already had a lot of experience when I took classes or like tried to enter the community, and then everything shut down. So I don't know if I understand the full. Maybe I did at some point, the full like scope of the UCB journey. Like, did you come out here specifically to do UCB, or did you just find it? Like how was that? How was that process?
So I did. I did improv in high school. Like a lot of people, I did short form and did competitive acting and stuff in high school, and then did improv for like a year in college. Like my last year, just dicking around. It was terrible. It was so bad. And then I had a very close friend, a guy named Jeff Brown, who I've done improv with out here because he's still back in Oklahoma. He essentially was like, he kind of introduced me to UCB and long form. And then he was like, I'm going to move there. And then I was like, I'm going to do that. So I just did what he said. So I moved out here. I was always kind of like, oh, UCB's, I think, where I'm going to end up, especially because I've been out here for 10 years. So I moved here in 2010. So I kind of was around for the big improv, like the improv heyday before.
Oh my God.
Before the crash of, I don't know, let's say 2018.
Yes. Oh, you were here for like some good times.
The really good years. Yeah. When I got here, it was like Second City, IO, UCB was still doing like all my first 4 levels of UCB were all not at the training center here. Like that didn't exist yet.
It was like in random places, right? That's what I heard. Like it would be like across town. It'd be like at a studio or.
Yeah, there was one they would use, I believe, in like Silver Lake, Los Feliz. There was one, the one I would normally go to there was one in Hollywood, like, which is now I think an animal hospital, right at like Seward and Santa Monica. There was another one in like WeHo kind of. That's the one I would go to a lot. But it was cool because like, if you needed a class, you didn't have to like always go to the same place. And while it did lose the appeal of like, it feels like a campus and like a real school, it was cool that you could like, oh, there's a class, and it's like on the side of town I'm already going to be on at that time every day. So it was nice.
Oh, okay. So when you signed up for that level 1, how important was that? Or was it just like, I'm already out here, I'm going to do it? Or was it just from my experience? Because like I met the people that they come out here, and it's like, I'm here to do UCB. And it's like it's a big choice for them, you know?
Yeah, it was important. I will say this, is I went and saw shows at IO. I don't think I went and saw a Second City show, and I went and saw shows at UCB. I went and saw like Shitty Jobs and a couple other shows. And I knew pretty much immediately, because I think it was about 6 months after living here, like especially like living in LA for 6 months before I got into a class. But it was very much like once I got in that, like once I saw UCB, I was like, that's it. That's the one that makes me laugh. That's the one that I see the appeal of. And especially at the time, man, like you go to Herald Night and it would be, I mean, Herald Night would be the most packed you've ever seen a place every single night. Like it was wild. It felt great. And I was like, oh, I want to be part of this. And so that was a fairly simple choice. It has since been very important because like in my 101, I made a couple friends who I still talk to this day. And in my 201, I met like people who I guess, I mean, we haven't practiced since COVID started, but people who I like am still playing, like probably my closest comedy partner, David Zwick, and we didn't actually even meet in that class. I met his friend, Ross Brand, who I'm also very close with, in that 201 class. And so people I'm still talking to today, like 9 years later.
Wow. So that's like the equivalent of like your college dorm mate becoming your best friend or something.
Yep, it 100% is. And I mean, I had no idea at the time that's how, but it also, you know, it's fun because it becomes all encompassing and it's all you start thinking about. And at that time, there were so many good indie shows in LA that like, there was a really cool non-consolidation, like the way like classes were all over the place was also the way shows were. Like you'd have to go to 3 different types and there'd be different types of stages because of that. And I think it made for this like really special feeling for like the first 3 years I was here, maybe, of like, you know, if you went to see an indie show, you might be going to this one weird theater that someone rented out for 2 hours or a different one. Like it really, every place had their own feeling and their own kind of audience, even though it was a lot of the same people, and it was really special.
Wow. Okay. See, I had no idea. See, but when you were doing that, I was still in college. And then when I came back to Southern California in 2014, I was busy enough in Orange County. I didn't have to go up there.
Yeah.
But I had no idea that back then, 9 years ago, that it wasn't as consolidated. Because now I feel like it's very spherical. I don't know how it is. Like you're at the Pack now, or you're at Second City.
Yeah, there was a lot less of that, especially because like a lot of the people who are really being very successful at UCB, like people you'd think of now as like really like Nick Mandernack and those type of people, you'd be like, those are like UCB guys. But they all came from IO previously. Like they had all done a lot of work other places, or like Ryan Meharry, James Mastriani, or they all had big IO ties. And it just felt like UCB, while it was like definitely the up and coming and like definitely Herald Night, ASCAT were like the big improv nights, it wasn't as dominant as it is now. And it also, there was a lot more work that you had to do things that led towards maybe a more doubling down on having a great show, on making sure people come to it, that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. So I get the sense it was kind of like Camelot for you.
Okay.
Not necessarily Camelot, but like I don't know, put it better times, but like there's been a shift somehow where it's not the same.
Maybe
I don't know what it is, but I get the sense that maybe because it was you were starting off that you're whimsical about it, but also maybe the conditions were different. Maybe something happened along the way where maybe things got more polarized, or
I try not to be like grouchy old man.
Negative either. I'm trying to just listen and reflect.
No. I try not to be, because like I'm sure there's people. I mean, I've met people who are coming up now, and they're like very excited about what's happening, and it's just a different environment. The same way, like I'm sure when I started coming up, people were like, "Well, it used to only be IO," and I'm sure there were like, you know. I was like, 26, new to LA, living in California. Like everything was like gold plated to me, you know? So of course, like those are my fond old times. Whereas now I've been in this community for a while. Yeah, but it's been great. UCB is great. I've gotten to use the name of being on a UCB mess hall to get me other shows, and that's been the best part of it.
Are you serious? You just say I was on the mess hall team, and that's that's it. That's a you got whatever you want.
It helps. Yeah, I got to do some stuff when I was in Korea in 2016. I got to like help do a workshop that was like bad. I was not good at it.
What was the workshop for?
It was for so there's a oh man, I got a name. Okay, so there's a woman named Helena Jang that runs at the time she was part of Soul City Improv. Now she runs her own improv. I believe it's called Improv. It is Seoul's only improv school, like improv only theater, which is crazy. Like, so I went there with friends, with David Zwick and another friend, Seth Hardiman, in 2016 just for a trip. And I was like, if I'm here, I do improv. I should see if they have improv. I should see what's going on. Yeah. And I was like, hey, I'm on a UCB mess hall team. And that seemed to, because UCB's name is so big, really open the doors. Like, oh, okay, yeah, come on in. And it doesn't it doesn't mean anything. I did a bad show there, but it did help.
Well, I mean, credibility is a thing.
Yeah, it's a big name brand, and I for a while, and I guess forever, get to say I was part of it. So that's like helps,
Well, I mean, you had to audition for the mess hall team, right? There was a process, right?
Yeah. It was a couple auditions. It was my third. I think it was my third time audition. So I had auditioned for Harold's and done terribly, and then I auditioned. I got an invite audition for mess hall at the halfway point, and I did not do great. And then my third try was Harold audition, and I did pretty good. And then I got a call back, and then I got on a mess hall team. And now there's like 7 audition rounds or something. Like, it's become ridiculous. There's like all kinds of, like, I know people who have had to like go through. It used to be 2 rounds max, and now it's like I think it can be up to 4 if they're having which is crazy to me.
Man,
but whatever.
That's I could see how that's a lot for someone. I remember I had buddies a few years ago who they're doing the program. I just couldn't afford it, but they're doing it.
Yeah.
So they would tell me about it, and they're like, dude, there's guys that before the audition, they're psyching themselves up by just like, if they're going to go fight Drago from Rocky or something. They put all this expectation on themselves to deliver in the audition, but like that expectation causes them to be nervous and break down or something.
Yep.
Like it seems like a crazy tense environment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really bad about, I will get anxious like the week before. And I think for that one, the one I did well at, I just was like, I just don't care. I think I didn't sleep well the night before, and I was like, I'm too tired to give a shit. I'm just going to go have fun. And like a dude did a thing, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to have fun with this. I'm not going to freak out. I'm like, whatever. Like, it's low stakes, but at the same time, very high stakes. Because I think my year there were like 2 different people from Canada there. Like, that was like a whole thing. Like, yeah, there will be people who like got asked to audition from like Second City, Toronto and shit. And you're like, what the fuck is this? This is silly. So it's very weird. For something that should be fun. And also, auditions for improv is a terrible way to evaluate it. Like, it's almost like if everyone in the NFL like evaluated like draft picks based just on the combine, if they never saw them play, if they never saw them do well, like in a normal game, and it's like, that's a bad way to evaluate talent, especially in what is like ephemeral, every time is different art form. It's a bad system, in my opinion. But
no, I feel you, man. It's because sometimes I feel like for auditions, like you being in them or you watching them, whatever, it's usually people it's people in the community. Maybe for the UCB one, it's different, but I'm sure they know some of them. Yeah. So it's got to be weird to be like, hey, I know you're better than this, or I know I've seen you kick ass before, or whatever, But it's just, you can't take that. You can't tell someone to not be competitive in a competitive thing.
Yeah, it's hard. It's just a bad situation, and like. But like, it is a weird thing. Like, if I think about like, so is this my first mess hall one? So like at the time it was mess hall auditions or invite only. and they're like in the middle of the year in between Herald auditions. And when I went and did that, there was someone in my audition, and I was like, she will get on. She will get on a mess hall, and then we'll be on a Herald team. And it's Ego for fucking SNL. So like, yeah, she should be doing that. It was like so clear. Yeah, she was in my audition. She crushed, and like to the point where I remember it, and I don't remember my own auditions. But
that's kind of cool, though.
Yeah. Oh, it's super cool. But it is like that weird. Improv should be low stakes. I think it's really valuable and like should be maybe held to a higher level than it is. But like it is ephemeral. It's not an audition situation's bad for it. But at the same time, out here, you're like, oh, there are people in this room who will go on to write for SNL, who will go on to have very real jobs in the entertainment industry. So it's a weird kind of like, don't take it seriously, but this could change your life kind of thing.
Don't, just be relaxed. But
yeah.
You're an SNL one day and be a legend.
Yeah, every casting director, when they're looking for someone for a role, will glance through this performer page. And if you're on it and you fit that, people get agents out of that shit. It's crazy.
Fuck, man. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's very weird.
I mean, I think everyone has to just accept that, like, a lot of people go to UCB or these big schools because it's a professional platform.
Yeah.
To get more attention and stuff, or to get training, like, because I've spent a lot of time in smaller markets. People in smaller markets, I have a lot of Orange County friends who are like, Fernando, I don't know how the fuck you drive to LA so much to do improv and sketch. And I'm like, well, I love it, but also, like, this professional development I'm never going to get down here. And there's amazing improvisers in Orange County. Don't get me wrong, who are like, sometimes I think these guys are bred in LA people, but it's a hobby. It's a pastime.
Yeah.
To do for friends. We're in LA. It's like some people are like, no, this is like my plan, and I have these goals to meet, and which I respect too. But I could see how it could be kind of counter to like, let's just have this as an art form. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in like, I want to be really good at the things I'm spending my time doing. Like, especially if you look at how much time I've spent doing improv, I fucking better be good at this point. Because like, and like, don't get me wrong, I've bombed some shows, like just in the past 6 months, just the worst. But my hit rate's higher than it used to be. And I think the only way to do that is to go play with the big dogs. Like, and like you can, I've done improv in like, in Korea, and there were good people. I've done it in London. There were great people. I've done it in Oklahoma, really fun people. But on average, and like where I think your chance to actually get better is here. And that's just the way it is. You have to like play with people better than you and then try to keep up. And that's, I think.
I totally agree with you, man. Yeah, this is the market. Not even the market. I mean, it is the market, but like this is the testing ground. I've even felt like, because it's funny. I mean, a lot of people were like, "Yeah, I did Second City in Chicago." But now it's time to get work or to go next level. I go to LA. I did stand up in New York, but now it's time to go to LA.
Yep.
I feel like the people either come here and they're going to get their training early on, or they got it somewhere else, but they go to LA because it's like, this is the end point.
Yeah. It makes it so hard because everyone good from like, especially, and I guess UCB New York's not open anymore, so that's like different. But especially when I was coming up, it was like, I'd be chilling, and then there'd just be like people getting oh, who are these people that I've never heard of who are put on? Oh, they're all from New York. Oh, they all teach in New York. Oh, cool. And you'd be like, so this community is constantly getting fed in from all the other ones where people are like, whereas some of us, like, I just got here and started doing the work here. So it's the hardest. It's like it's a small pond that keeps getting giant fish added to it.
Shit.
Let's try to like can stay afloat, and it's great.
That is a good analogy, actually. I didn't think about that. Yeah, because there's so much talent being infused here.
Yeah.
There's so much talent, and I don't know. I think sometimes you take it for granted. I mean, at least I don't know. You've been to a bunch of shows. It's crazy to have a front row seat to one of the most amazing things. Only like 20 or 30 people are going to watch.
Well, it's wild. Like I remember I went to, what's it called? It wasn't called, what was it called? It was Magic to Do, maybe? Was that what it was called? It was like the UCB's musical improv show in maybe 2012. And I remember going, and I was like, who? Okay, there's this woman that's really incredible, and there's this guy that's unbelievable, and Eugene Cordero's here, and he was like he was my 101 teacher, so I just think he's unbelievable. He's such a super talented performer, and I was like, what is this? And then cut to now, and the woman I saw was Rachel Bloom, and the guy was Thomas Middleditch, and you're like, oh well, yeah, these people are fucking famous now. And it's just like, yeah, of course those people are going to be incredible, but you can go see them for $5 and you can still go see those shows, which is crazy. Like you can still go see Jason Mantzoukas do improv in LA. And that's wild to me. Yeah, it's fun, man. It's the best.
No. I saw a show once where Dom did blackface.
Yeah. Oh, no. I've seen a couple of those. He's a monster.
Jason Mantzoukas is the greatest improviser to ever live.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen him do improv, but if Dom likes him, he must be really amazing.
Yeah. No, he's I'm trying to think. I've seen him in a couple. I saw him in a soundtrack once, and I was just like, God damn. And there was a period of time where I was nerding out, and I was watching old cage match videos from UCBLA, and him and Lennon Parham and Jessica St. Clair were on a team together that Zach Woods would sit in on too. I think they were all a New York Herald team. And he did a bit that was so funny where he got up, he made a mistake at a dinner scene. And he was like, and they were like, oh, did you mean you want the salad, not the soup? He was like, I'm so sorry. And then he just honed in on it. And he was like, and they tried to move on. And he was like, no. What is going on with me? That's salad, not soup. And then he got up and he punched the wall. And it's maybe the funniest thing I've ever, to see someone use rage as comedy was like, he's a straight up genius, man.
Well, now I'm learning a lot about you. I feel like we stopped at the bodega and we actually, shared some more words. From what I'm understanding, I could understand why getting on a mess hall team now was validation.
Yeah.
It seems like you had spent years just watching this amazing community of artists just inspire you and entertain you in a million different ways. So I could see how the validation of being on a mess hall team was like, I am in, or I am one of them, or I too am capable of this. Was that kind of in the ballpark?
I mean, in a small way. Yeah, it was cool. It was just like, oh, cool. I got invited to there's at the time there was a UCB New Year's party that was fairly well known at the time. And I got to go to that. It was that kind of stuff that I was like, oh, cool. Ooh, I'm on the inside. And also, two of my closest friends had been on digital teams at UCB, so they had kind of been inside. And it's also just now, I'm still on the UCB bit list, so I get the bit show emails and stuff like it just means I got the opportunity. And it's things I would have, I think, if you just stick around and do them, you can get the opportunity too. But it just fast-tracked that a little bit for me.
Well, no, man. I mean, I think that's really cool because I just, I didn't do the ground-up stuff for comedy. I mean, kind of in a way, yes, kind of no. But I know that for a lot of people, I remember there's people in my 101 class or 201 classes like, yeah, I graduated college, coming to UCB because I want to be a big comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of me is like, it's like, I don't know how to respond to that because you're kind of like, fuck, man, good for you. That's amazing. And I wish I was that brave at that age because I wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, part of it's also like, don't come here, you fool. Go make mistakes at a smaller theater.
Yeah, well, part of me is I'm always just there's enough of us. Get out of here. And then I'm also just but I think that's always the part of for me, it's the part of my brain that's I'm not going to be able to keep up. And I'll figure out my own space. I think we're all a little, especially with UCB, because it's so many people fighting over what are essentially 64 spots on Herald Night.
Fuck.
And that's and the crazy thing is you get on Herald Night and that's your intro to the theater, really. Then you can get on other stuff. So it's this weird competitive system. And they even acknowledge this is not the only way. There's a million. Becky Drysdale was never on a Herald team. She's fucking unbelievable. There's a million people who are so good who didn't take this path. This is just, but it is the format. It's well, you form these 4 classes and then they lead to this other thing. It's a natural spot to shoot at. And in an entertainment industry that's open-ended already. So I think we're all looking for that structure. I don't know about you. I'm always constantly looking for it.
I totally know what you mean. I feel like someone hears about, like, say, like Thomas Middleditch, someone like that. Oh, they went to UCV, went to the system, and that's how they got stuff. Like, oh, I'll do that.
Mm.
Or like people, they think it's a lot easier than it is.
Yeah.
You know, when it's a maze. It's a complicated process to get attention or to get recognition or respect. And like, of course, developing your talent is the core thing, because if you're good, that's undeniable. But you still have to know how to network or know the like structure of a place, or who to talk to and stuff like that. So you're right, it is interesting. Yeah, man, I think what you're also speaking about is like there's a generation, like my class has moved on, or it's time for my class to move on for the next. And sometimes maybe that choice isn't made for you. I mean, it's made for you, like maybe it's just, I don't know. What do you think?
I think there's definitely a generational thing. I think that's like one of the big issues, like UCB right now, and I can only speak in limited capacity to it, but is like dealing with a lot of issues, like both around racial politics and around the way they interact with people of different minorities. And it's been an issue, like, there was like a huge issue with the way they had to put rules in place of like teachers dating students, all these things, like in my time out here. And then part of that is that like you have to put some, like you'd have people on Herald Night who were incredible performers, but who have also been around forever, or like are teaching and still like you have to, if you want to encourage growth in this thing to keep growing, you actually have to make room for the people that are up and coming. And I think that's a very hard thing for any theater to tackle, because at that, then you're forcing out people who helped build it while trying to make room for people who you don't know what role they're going to play yet.
Wow. I never considered that. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, but it's I think it's really difficult, and I get both sides of it, because part of me is like, well, yeah, you should, you've put in the time and you've built a theater and you've put on great shows and you've been consistently great for years and years. You've earned the right to get some time to perform every week. Mm-hmm. And also like the students, like the population of like your comedy community should have the right to see some of these performers constantly. But at the same time, there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so many nights where you can like put a 30-minute or an hour show up, and you got to kind of start making room. And also improv's a thing where like, if you can't make these shows monthly. Like I do a monthly improv show. It's difficult. It's really difficult to both maintain an audience, and it's really hard to stay good, because improv is unlike other forms of, I mean, I guess all forms of comedy are this, but like improv especially, it's a muscle you need to work pretty consistently to stay on top of it, and to do it at a high level. And I think you see this at all theaters. Like I think the Pack is dealing with this all the time. Just sucks. It's just the reality. It sucks.
Dude, I think you've hit an important pain point for all theaters, even if it's not comedy. It's like, how do you make room for the next generation? Because you're right. Maybe the previous generation is like, I feel owed. I put my time in. Yeah. I'm not giving up what I worked hard for. But at the same time, it's like you do need new members to just keep the community like vital and current, and just bringing new ideas and bringing new energy. And I think sometimes too, if you're part of a community for too long, or your attitude towards it is really closed, and you own it more than you should, maybe you might be closed off to new people coming in and having new collaborators.
Yeah,
or just new ideas in general. And then and that's just from my experience at theaters that don't have stakes. But I can imagine at UCB where there's stakes, where there's like a teaching position, or the prestige of being on a Herald team. Like, I'm sure all those things play into your decisions of like, I'm going to stay longer, or I don't want to sound fucked up, I may prevent this person from rising. I'm not saying that happens, but who knows?
I think there's all kinds of elements of it, and it sucks. It's just like a gross thing. And like even the workarounds for it are like the groundlings, where they have flat out levels where they're like, all right, you're not getting past this. You finished this thing and you didn't pass on, and that's it for you. But even that's gross. So it's like there's no winning.
No, it is. it is cutthroat. We just gotta say it. I mean, it's not like there's points where it's like someone's gonna win, but that means someone's gonna lose.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I think it's a topic it's an uncomfortable topic.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's also, I personally believe, like, for me, like it's interesting we're talking about improv because I'm probably just at the tail end of, I think I'm about done.
You're done with improv in general?
I think I might be. I think I'm right there. I've been just doing it for a long time. Like I think I'm done practicing. I've been rehearsing consistently on a weekly basis, pretty much every week since 2012.
Jeez.
I mean, with like some weeks off for Christmases and vacations and
of course.
And like, I think there were like 3 months off when I was doing a spank show, like a sketch show with some friends that we switched from practicing improv to practicing sketch. But yeah, I just think I'm like kind of finally at the point where I'm like, hey, I'm maybe where I could still get better, but I'm not trying to get on a team anywhere. That's not my goal. And I think that's kind of got to be, I think that's the problem with it is like, it's not something that's meant to necessarily be forever the same way nothing is. Like it's now, if you're going to do improv as a job, if you want to go do it at Bang Chicago or Boom Chicago or on a cruise ship somewhere, that's one thing. But otherwise, then it's kind of like, well, you need to now take these skills and do something else with them. Like figure out what about these skills that has led you to like be successful in the other things. And the things that you probably came to LA to do in the first place. Like I didn't move here to do improv. I did do improv and that was on my list of comedy things I wanted to do, but that's not like why I'm here.
Why are you here?
I think I want to make movies and TV. Although I hate sets. I hate being on sets. Yeah. So I'm focusing on that. I'm writing a lot more now.
But I think, I think you are bringing up a good point though, that you do have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Actually, especially if you do it as long as you have. I've been doing it as long as you have probably.
Yeah.
And you have to keep asking that question, why am I doing this? Because it's easy to go through the motions of like, oh, I have a team, go to practice. Oh, we got a show. All right, and you do all those things, and because there are ways, there's inertia, right?
Yeah.
Like just the momentum of the habit carries you through, and it's like, maybe I don't want to be here right now, but this is what I do, so of course I'm going to be here.
Yeah, I also I took I did 101 and 201 at UCB, and then I took like fucking years, like 2 years off probably of classes because I was like, oh, coaching's way better. Like I had Jill Donnelly as a coach, and she's a genius, and like is personally invested in what I'm doing, and like I was like, this is so much better. And then I was like, wait a minute, I need to take these classes if I ever want to get on a Herald team. Like I was like, oh no, I forgot. But it can become, I think, the rhythm, like we've talked about, like the entertainment industry is not, there's no real, I mean, there are paths, but those paths aren't guaranteed. And you see people all the time who just skip that path because they're talented or they worked hard. So like your time spent, so like any structure for me, because I'm someone who really needs schedules, like, oh, every Thursday night I have practice, and then we have a couple shows throughout the week, and then maybe I'm so quick to fall into that rhythm and forget what the hell else I'm doing. So this type of like, weirdly, like I have made a couple movies. I've done some stuff with some friends in a group called Heckbender. If you know Ben Crutcher.
I love Ben Crutcher. Oh, you're part of Heckbender? I had no idea.
Yeah. We made a couple movies.
Oh my God, you guys made an amazing like cop spoof.
Yep, we made Cop Chronicles, The Legends of the Hajj Mirage. And we also made Spaghetti Man, which is like a superhero movie. And that was like a good, like, oh, you can do things that aren't improv and then they last and they're out there forever. And it's like around. And I do music stuff too. And that's like the same thing where I'm like, oh, I can get that same hit. Cause like, let's be honest, when you come off
a musical show, side note, you did Scramble, you bought a bunch of instruments, like kid instruments.
Oh yeah, I haven't. That was a clown bit I was working on. I haven't done that.
Yeah, it felt very anti-comedy, and you had all of us like do sound on them or something. It was like just a cacophony.
Yeah. I try to have a crowd. I got challenged by Amrita to do a solo bit years ago, And so it's like, yeah, I have a crowd make a song, and then I pick someone out. This is not peek behind the curtain. I pick someone out who I'm like, I'm gonna rip on you, and I'm gonna make sure no matter what you do, it will be wrong, and I will lose the crowd, and then I will try to get them back, and that's the whole bit, and it's a mess. I forgot I did that bit. I've been doing bits a lot.
That was a fun bit, though. I mean, I don't remember everything. Seen a million shows like you have, but you always remember the stuff that made an impact.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, go for it.
No. What were you gonna say?
No, I just want to go back to just because I'm gonna say that because that was such a fun thing. No, but so we're talking about just the inertia of getting in a routine. But I think what you said right now, it's something that it's changed my perspective on comedy. Is we can create things that will last longer than an improv scene.
Yeah.
I think sometimes improvisers who are just pure improv, because I'm a sketch person now. And a lot of my comedy is I'm having this fucking fight between these two comedies I love so much, because I feel like sketch is very production based and product based, and at the end you have something that could be turned into something else. Hey, I wrote this amazing sketch called The American Dream. It's a short film now. It's winning awards, which I'm really happy. Improv, oh my God, you improvised the best thing ever with 4 of your best friends to 20 people, and no one else will ever see it again. You can't replicate it. You can't produce it, but the memory's there, but the memory fucking erodes. The memory fades slowly. It's a weird, they're I don't know, they're at the borders of each other, but they're so different in so many ways.
I've always thought that improv is the coolest thing, and that's why we all like doing it. It looks cool. It is inherently cool kid of I didn't even know what I was gonna say. It's really cool, right? It's I have the ability to get up on a stage with nothing, and then in 30 minutes you will be leaving being that was unbelievable comedy show. That's special. That's unique, and it's a very cool thing to be able to do. But what it doesn't embrace is there's hard work in practicing it, but it doesn't embrace hard, long work that's not in public. And that's the other half of that coin that's making a real thing. Sketches such a different sitting in a room by yourself and writing or pitching. And I think they're totally complementary. I think personally I am so non-selfish about ideas now because of doing improv. I've done a couple sketch classes at the Pack, and I've done some other sketch stuff around, and I'll pitch an idea and someone's well, I don't like that. I'm fine, I'm gonna have 100 that are that good. It's not gonna doing improv makes you realize you will have a bunch of great ideas, and if you don't use one or someone doesn't like it, it's not the end of the world. And it also if they want to change it, fine, it might be better. And that's something I think most comedy misses the mark on in such a big way. That's the biggest, hardest thing to teach to someone who's only done stand-up or only done sketch. It's the collaboration aspect's almost impossible to teach without doing it a lot.
Yeah, I feel that improv will make you a better sketch comedian, just from the collaboration standpoint and from building on someone's idea with the original idea and just what that is.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to force it to your thing. Maybe it depends on your stage as an improviser.
Yeah. But you're just pitching. I mean, that's all improv is pitching ideas. What about, are we going to try this? Oh yeah. Okay. We'll try that. And let's see where that goes. So that's all it is. It's literally that, but just doing it on stage.
No, you're right. And what's cool is when there's a good idea, people will take it to places you didn't think of.
Yep. And that's great.
You'll see some amazing tag runs or just mono scenes or whatever, of just oh my God. And they're staying true to the suggestion. Yeah. They're staying true to the original idea, whatever it was.
But can you imagine how shitty it'd be if I was the first person in the first scene before that led into the tag run, and someone tags out and I'm no, that's not what I was doing. And that's the thing we run into a lot in other things, is this ownership of the comedic idea, instead of being all right, my name's going to be on this. And and there is an element where you have to start owning things a little more, I think, because it comes down to you want to make sure your name's on that if it's amazing and people make money off it. You want to make sure that that's part of that you're represented. But yeah, it's a weird, I love improv, but I'm done practicing.
No, man, I don't blame you. I'm terrible at practices. I I feel like I'm not enough. Like I got my get out of practice free card. But at the same time, you're right though. You know, if you don't go to practice, you feel like you can maybe develop sloppy habits or something happens. Like, I don't know, like at least for me, I know that working with a coach helps out every now and then.
Oh
but
yeah, I think so.
I don't know. At least for me, I was doing so many shows, you know, these past few years that I didn't need to practice necessarily because I was just doing shows, and that's just for me. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm sure that pisses people off, but like I was doing a lot of shows, and the audience was my coach in terms of like that sucks. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're taking all that in.
Yeah, I've just been working with there's a team I've been working with that I love all of them very much, and I really like seeing them. That's part of it. Is I'm like, this is mainly an excuse just to see people I like. Like I could have practiced, and I'm like, yeah, the practice is fine. I'm just really much more interested in the 30 minutes after where we're all hanging out talking. That's like what I'm actually here for.
I feel you on that one. The friendships you develop with people. Yeah. Sometimes like it's a 2-hour rehearsal, but there's like an hour pre-hang or an hour post-hang. Or let's grab dinner before or after. And you're right. It is like, I think the teams where you're friends with people, those are the ones that last the longest, or the ones that like you're gonna make sure that you're there present, like not just physically, but like, you know, psychologically and emotionally and in every way that you possibly can.
And see, I run into an issue. So I've been lucky enough to do once I did that show in Korea, I kind of make it a point of if I'm in another place to at least look up if they have improv and hit them up, like message them. Like I was in China and I was really trying to do an improv show there and it did not work out. But I was lucky enough to get to do one in London, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And it was like, I found that those types of shows that I'm doing, or if I'm like, I do a show, if I go back to Oklahoma to like see family or friends, I will try to do a show there. At a place called Rabbit Hole Improv. I should give them a shout out. They're great. I hope that's their name. I'm pretty sure that's right. But what I find is like, I'm so much better with someone I've never done improv with, and I don't know if they're good. And honestly, if they're not great, that's even better because I'm so much more present and so much more attentive. Whereas like my team that I've been practicing with for years, I'm like, you guys got this. Like I can do something crazy and then I'm just going to kind of not pay attention and not meaning to do that. I'm trying to pay attention all the time. But like, it's just difficult, especially when you've been doing something with the same people for so long. That amount of real engagement's super difficult and not something I'm great at. But with someone new, and especially at a high stakes situation, like in a place where there's a bunch of people here, I'm here as the representative of LA now.
You better
I'm the one American. I hope I'm good. I'm going to be so much more super engaged, super focused. And also I found like it's way easier to kind of not drive the scene, but like way easier for me to find a mistake they make and then make that the game. Like I can just really just take like, hey, like I did a mono scene with someone in London and it turned into a very inappropriate gym coach, like student relationship scene that was insane and like funny, but very insane. And I realized like, she's never called me my name halfway through. And I was like, I'm going to see if she ever says it. And if she doesn't, I'm going to make a thing about it. But like, that's the type of like paying attention that I know I wouldn't do in a show at the clubhouse. And I don't know why. Like I can't turn that on all the time, but I don't know.
Well, I feel you mean. When I'm doing shows with my friends, you can slack. You know, you can slack. But they got it. I'm just gonna chill on the back wall and I'll tag if something, you know, picks my interest. It is kind of, at least for me, it's kind of selfish. But you're right. You kind of like, there's so much trust in your team to do it that like you don't worry about it. But maybe when you're like, oh, this is a new audience, it's a new space, and all this stuff. Like maybe there's stakes again. So like,
I feel like it makes us play the way we're supposed to play all the time. And that's like, you know, if you ever played like a new form with a team and all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, we crushed that form. Like, oh, we don't do mono scenes, but we did a mono scene once and it was amazing. And I'm always like, we're doing a thing that should be uncomfortable and we're doing it so much we make it comfortable, but it should be uncomfortable. It's better when it's uncomfortable. It's like I almost think like, man, it just, and it can't even be like, cause there's shows like, Not the, what is it called? What's the show where they mash up and it's on Thursday nights at the Clubhouse and it's been running forever? I can't remember the name of it. There's a show that where it's like they mash up teams, but it's always the same 50 people or whatever. Even that, like everyone's too comfortable with, like it should almost always be like new and feel dangerous and feel like, and that's the thing. Like, I think you look at someone like, I would always feel like Chad Damiani. That man is like, what he's doing is just on the edge of being improv because it's so silly and like so clowny and like all these different things. But their shows feel dangerous and feel like something really could happen in a way that I feel like we all don't do enough. And that's why when you go see at the time, if you're going to see Jetso, pre them stopping to do shows, you'd be like, holy shit, this feels like unreal. Like, they're asking the audience in the middle. They're taking a poll of the audience on stuff. And I'm like, we could do anything. Let's just do more of this. So I don't know.
No, I feel you. Since Jetso broke up, I know Chad's been doing, whereas we're doing live shows at least.
Yeah.
He was doing Chad this on Improv, where he would get in some top-notch performers.
Yep.
And man, I saw one of those. I saw at least 3 of those shows. And wow, everyone was different. Everyone made you uncomfortable, but kept you captivated.
Yep.
And he's always, I know in clown, it's always like, how far can we take the audience with a bit to make them feel that that's real? Is that, you know, like the opposite of like, hey, let's just have a good time. It's like, no, how far can you push the envelope in terms of questioning them? Hey, is this actually real or is it a bit? It is a skill, man, and Chad's the master of it. And you're right, but part of that is like that danger element of like, to do that kind of work, you do kind of have to put all of yourself into, at least for that moment, and give a lot of attention and focus, which is what you need, and investment. You know, those things. So I feel on that one. So how about this? Do you feel like you ever come back to it? Like, let's say you do take a break, or is it like you're retiring? Are you retiring?
No. No, I'm really probably just retiring from practicing. I still think I'll perform, and my hope is what I'd really like. And I've done a couple, like I've done some Zoom shows here and there that were really great. And I'm like, oh, if I only perform once every couple months, it's way better. I feel different. I feel very different about like my response to it. What I'm getting out of it is, and like, yeah, the first scene or two might be rough, but then I've done it long enough. Like, I remember what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. And it's not like in my off time, I'm not making jokes and thinking about funny things. So it's not like I'm like turning off my brain and, oh yeah, I'm just doing accountant work or something like 7 days a week when I'm not doing this. So I think I'm probably just stepping away from practicing for sure. And then trying to jump in. I'm really trying to stretch I've been doing pack sketch stuff, trying to stretch those like,
what classes you've taken there?
Huh?
What classes have you taken there?
I've taken 1 and 2. I took 1 in person, and then I took 2 just finished in quarantine over Zoom.
Who was your level 1 teacher?
I had Moneypenny for 1 and then Sam Brown for 2.
Oh, that's great. They were my teachers. You should all check out the Pack Sketch program.
Yeah. I think it's a very good sketch. I've never taken a sketch class, even though I've made like a lot of video sketches with Heckbender and done a sketch show at UCB for a Spank and like, but I've never actually just taken a class in it. And I was like, oh, okay, I can do this, but it is nice to have like just a reason to write. I feel like a due date for something is great. And then also it was fun. Like, I've met some fun people and yeah, I dig it.
That's great, man. Well, Winston, we're coming down here towards the end. I feel like we're both exiting the bodega and about to go to our different neighborhoods or whatever, a different apartment.
We can live in the same neighborhood. That's okay.
Sorry, your building is like that way. My building is that way.
Yes.
So
I like how even in our dream we both live in apartments.
Because
in our dream we don't have a house.
Well, I'm thinking New York, right? Bodega.
I know.
Because bodegas are like an East Coast thing, right?
Yeah. Mine's not a walk up. I have an elevator. I'm doing better in this dream.
Do they call them bodegas in LA?
I think so. I've heard people refer to them, but I think that you are right. The traditional like bodega is a New York thing.
Well, when I think bodega, I think of Seinfeld. That's why.
Yes, that makes sense.
I guess maybe they call them corner stores around here, or
They call them corner stores. I mean, I certainly have some. There's some in my neighborhood, and I'm like, yeah, that's a bodega. They like kind of have groceries. Some of them have fresh meat, and that's always surprising. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I grew up in a Latino neighborhood here in Orange County, an immigrant neighborhood. So we just call them tienditas, which means little store. So
okay.
that's how I grew up using
Little
them.
store.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm a big Seinfeld fan, so when I hear bodega, I think of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
That means we're living in Manhattan, though. That means we got some money. We own.
Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing all right.
Yeah, we're part of the condo association. What is like just the last thing you want to say? Like just about everything, or a shout out, or just a mantra, or a belief. I know it's kind of a big question, but like, I'm learning a lot too with these.
No.
Thanks for your time. I've learned a lot about you.
No, this is fun. Yeah, no, this has been a blast. I love talking about myself.
Yeah, no, you should, man. You have a very, I learned a lot today about the UCB journey,
Yeah, and I'm lucky. Like, keep in mind, like, I know plenty of great people who have never been on a mess hall team. I know some people who've been on one multiple times and never made the step up. I know people who've directly stayed. Like, it's a weird system that a lot of people. There's so many good people involved in it, though. Maybe that's what I'll say is like. It is, I would argue, the point of doing these classes is not to get a show somewhere. It is to make you a better comedian and introduce you to people who you want to work with. And if you get that out of it, then you've gotten out what you've put, then the amount. Anything more than that, try not to put your validation on what people at a comedy theater who are also, remember, any of them would leave it in a minute to get a writing or an acting job. Like,
yes,
don't like never forget that like the artistic director of whatever theater you're at would spit on the front door of the place you're at and wipe it off of the map if it meant a sitcom regular role. Like, that's the truth. So don't forget it, because like putting anything more into it than like to remember that. Yeah, that's what I'd like to say.
All right, awesome. Well, everyone, Winston, thank you so much for being here.
Can I plug a thing? Am I allowed to plug a thing? I'm co-hosting and producing a podcast called Things Are Going Great for Me with J. Claude Deering, who's a guy I met through improv. He's a very funny stand-up, and he interviews great guests. Our first episode has Chris Pine on it.
Well, I'll get some links for that. Give me the links, maybe your social too, and I'll put it in the YouTube description and then this blog post.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll listen to that as well. I'm excited to hear that. Congrats on getting Chris Pine.
So excited I got to talk about improv.
Oh, of course, man.
I really love it.
This was an awesome interview. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming and checking out the third episode of the Improv Life, Fernando's Improv Blog podcast. I hope you all have an amazing day. Thank you and goodbye.